All right. Hello and welcome to the Easthampton Mayor's COVID-19 virtual town hall. And take it away, Mayor LaChapelle.
Good morning, Easthampton. I'm Nicole LaChapelle, and I am with lots of gratitude, your mayor. Our special guest today is Mo Bellevue from the Greater Easthampton Chamber of Commerce. She's our fearless executive director. And I always have to throw this in, and the co-founder and host of The Art of Risk. Just a wonderful day for women professionally, and just, it's a great day. I had to put that plug in, Mo.
Glad that you did, and there's a slight change going forward. So
Okay.
Women in the Art of Risk has been retired, that theme and that concept, and we are moving forward with She Leads. So stay tuned for more information regarding that.
Evolution. I love it. Great. And Mo's also going to give us an update of just like what's going on in Chamber of Commerce in our area, but also around sentiments and what she's hearing, and also tools and information that she's sharing on the Chamber's website and any virtual assistance. I also have some questions from the public that I got via text and email over the last week. And at the end, it will be a free-for-all. Ask any kind of questions or clarifications that you would like. If I don't have the answer, I'm going to get you an answer. And also, let Mo and I know if you have a concern or need some help in the business community, or perceive something our business community, our local economy really needs. We would love to hear it, because we're always looking for collaborations, but we're starting to get some money in for business relief funds. We were awarded $30,000 yesterday by the Attorney General, and all of those monies will go with small grants to existing businesses. It's not something to support some within City Hall. All of that money goes to local businesses, small businesses. So we'll have more details on that. The other thing I want to quickly mention for help is that Easthampton City Arts has started an artist relief fund. You can go to their website or to the city's website, easthamptonma.gov, and then click on arts and culture, and you will get all the information about that, some financial assistance to help our creatives across Easthampton. And the last thing I will make sure everybody hears about, and I would encourage them to reach out to the Community Preservation Act members, the board. They are considering, as well as your city councilors, a $300,000 rent relief fund for Easthampton residents. Sorely needed. It comes out of our CPA housing fund. It's not money that we have to raise, and it will help renters who just really need some support. We want to care and help everyone we possibly can. Please put your support forward to your members of City Council and the CPA board. That said, I'm going to hand the spotlight, or pass the spotlight, over to Mo about just her perspectives and what's going on from the Chamber of Commerce.
So since we received your guidance on closing, of non-essentials, my assistant and I have been working from home. So we've been working from home. We are home, and we have been fielding and vetting and trying to bring down into a concise format all of the information that I'm getting bombarded with regarding programming, resources, and all that sort of stuff. And it's really almost on a daily basis that we're putting that stuff out for folks, because it's so important.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been focusing our time on.
And where are you getting that resource? Like, so one, what's the URL for your website? Just make sure everybody knows.
It's easthamptonchamber.org.
Okay. And you're updating it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we update it as it needs to be updated. We have a business resource page. So all of the information that we put out on a daily basis, if there's an addition, a new link, a new PDF, or what have you, regarding the different programming. So from, I'm on weekly calls with MEMA every week, and we get updates from them every night. So the following morning, I go through that, and I make sure that that information is getting out to everybody. I do a specific, because we are a member-owned nonprofit. So I have my members, and that's what supports the chamber and the work that we do. So I have a member-specific email that goes out every day, and then I have for our broader mailing list, which is, I think, a couple thousand folks are on that mailing list. And you don't need to be a member to be on that mailing list. You can go to the website, easthamptonchamber.org, and you can sign up for that. And all that same information gets put into that as well, so that, rising tides can lift all these boats.
Yes.
So that's what we have been doing. So we get our information from MEMA. We look to your information as well, your situation reports that you put out, and we have a link to that. And anything that comes out via the health department, planning, anything that's relevant and specific. I'm really working hard so that I'm not flooding everybody's inbox with noise and with random information. And I really rely on specifically the SBA, the state, your website for, and I watch the governor's press conferences every day too. I'm on top of that. But, I really kind of filter out all of this other random information coming from random sources.
I think that's really
where they're getting their information.
Right. I think that's really important. And it's one of the reasons why I asked. There is so much information out there, and it is not vetted. It's not from official services, sources, and we're already hearing about scams. I mean, unemployment checks this week are likely to be delayed so they can deal with an unemployment scam, scam that is so broad that everyone's unemployment check may be delayed.
Right. And we just got notified of that mid-afternoon, and so I made sure that went out, and we'll be doing another mailing of that, because there's links that you can file a report and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully we'll be getting that out before noontime today.
I just find your e-blast very informative, and I can trust it.
Thanks.
So, we hear things, and we're trying to put out a one-pager every other day around municipal matters. A lot of times we go and we look at, all boats, right? Rising tides. We look at the chamber's e-blast and say, okay, they're doing this too, or this is this link to back something up. And I can't encourage the public to really be careful and mindful about something that you're reading. Really understand what the source is, and not just the source that an article or post might say is the source. Dig a little deeper. And I think the chamber is a great website, the city website, mass.gov, cdc.gov, and John Hopkins has just really awesome scientific data dashboard. It's really something else.
Yeah, it's really important to me that, it's not fancy. There's not a lot of pictures and fluff. I'm just this is what you need, because everybody is so, overstimulated and overload. And I don't want anybody, and also, members, or if you're getting our newsletter, and if there's anybody that you feel that would benefit from this information, or it's important for them to know, share it, please.
Are you posting information on your Facebook? I know you guys are working from home, so the chamber's Facebook page is also pushing out that good stuff.
So it's So we do we do our general mailing, we do our member specific general mailing. Then we make sure that all of those links and PDFs and things are on our web page, and then all of that goes out on Facebook too.
Great.
Yep.
So what are you hearing from local businesses, and what concerns you're hearing, or what's working? I've gotten a lot of concerns about the payroll protection program and what happens on June 30th. Is that a concern for folks here in Easthampton, or yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot of, concern regarding forgivability. And there's some new information that just went out over the past couple of days. In that process, your folks are going to need to apply to get considered for forgivability. So it's really important that I try to make that as clear as possible, because it's not just something, I have this now and it's going to be forgiven. That's not the case. So
Gotcha.
Folks are concerned about that. They're concerned about, they had laid folks off or furloughed people. And then then through the course of this, they received their PPP, they got approved and they received it. They've called people back. And now for one reason or another, perhaps these people are not coming back. They're concerned about, I have to move on. These people are important to me, but I need workers. So if I hire somebody and now their spot isn't available anymore, and what's that mean in regards to my liability, I guess, for lack of a better word. I hate to use that word, but.
I mean, what's your general sense? And I know, I'm not sure you're surveying or whatnot. I mean, how are people feeling as far as like confidence in in businesses and interacting with businesses and their own health, or the business employees and owners' health? I mean, are you hearing about that, or if it's more very fiscally minded?
Well, I think that people are very, very wanting to get back to business. This is what they do. Yeah. And it's their purpose in life, and gives them purpose and meaning and drive. So they want to get back to that. But I also am hearing that there is concern about wanting to do it in a safe manner. Yeah. And I've also gotten feedback from folks about their staff being concerned. They know that their organization, their place of business is following the guidelines that are put out by the state, the general guidelines that everyone needs to follow, and then the sector-specific guidelines. Right. So they know that they're doing that, but then they're concerned about the general public holding up their end of that. So having their masks on, so there's concern around that.
Yeah, I mean, my talking to business owners a little bit, exactly that is that they feel like they've gotten the general guidance. They can get a hold of our health agent, our health department here for local interpretation. They can educate their employees. And honestly, the one question I hear more and more is, when someone walks into my business without a mask or face covering, what do I do?
Yeah.
And we're trying to put a little more certainty, like 1, 2, 3 steps of that. Right now, what I've been telling folks is, this is just like what we're used to. It's no shoes, no shirt, no face covering, no service. Like, that's the mindset. But there is this public education process. And of course, if you're a business, your customer service, right, needs to be right on, and you want to welcome people. And it is. I just keep hearing it's a concern about, but how am I welcoming people if somebody walks in without a face covering?
Right.
Or people who can't. Yeah.
And what's their enforcement responsibility?
Right. I agree. Yeah. I think it comes down to what we're getting from the state so far, but I have asked for more guidance around enforcement. Is it more just a condition? It's a condition of service, or and it's up to individual businesses around around customers, but not employees. So I think Yeah, go ahead, Mom.
I was just going to say, they're also concerned and waiting to see, is the general public, and I know that folks want to get out and about, and of course, getting back to whatever normal will be, but some of the feedback that I've gotten is how eager really will everybody be? And willing, I think they're eager, but how tentative are they going to be?
Yeah. Right.
And that's natural, right?
Right. No, I agree. And we had, with the little bit of the opening in phase one, just the big construction jobs in town, the concerns that both the developer, the contractors, and the workers had about wanting to come back to work, but the multi-levels of safety planning, it's cumbersome.
Yes.
It's necessary, but it's cumbersome. And,
Yes.
and I do, when you get to retail and you get to restaurants, I do wonder how that's going to work for folks.
Well, and I've also heard too that, and I've also seen some of the smaller businesses deciding to hold off.
Yeah.
Because of what they're responsible for now, as far as having all of the PPE and the sanitation and how long that actually, takes every day.
Yes.
So,
and so just to kind of jump to another topic around this that I'd heard, it was actually one of the questions, but we're kind of going right that way. Liability. So when you're talking about concern, have you heard anything from insurance companies or from different business sectors about a safe harbor or, goodness, if somebody gets sick, right, and you can't trace back, but they happen to be at your business. Anything you're hearing out there around liability and the contact tracing back to any one place?
well, obviously, it potentially could create some sort of apprehension, general perception, which, who knows, but I have not heard anything regarding safe harbor or anything like that. I think it's such a big question, and not all of the questions have been or have an answer.
No, I was reading where employees in essential businesses like the grocery stores are asserting their rights to file workers' comp claims. With
I haven't heard that.
COVID-related, that's just coming up. And there are a couple of things in the legislature that I think have just been introduced around what happens to make sure that employees get care, but it necessarily doesn't go back to an employer. And how do we take care of people, right, who are sick? It's not about denial of care, but how do we make sure it doesn't crush businesses? And that's, for me, that's the second most difficult thing to figure out next to schools education. I think that's a big thing. So is the chamber doing any online? You see all these virtual events and Zoom calls and what, like we're doing now. Is the chamber kind of just, or I shouldn't say kind of just, putting the information out there, or they're virtual? How could members of the chamber reach out to each other?
So we have postponed all of our programming through 2020. Well, through the end of September, I should say. And then the last quarter is tentative, depending on how that all shakes out. And we have been doing a little bit of Zoom offerings here and there, but frankly, people are just, they have their, their daily Zoom 8 hours, and it's Zoom overload. We're finding. So, yep. So we tried doing some of that in the very beginning, but it was that time has passed. Let's just You know, and we have a few offerings here and there, and but it's mostly answering questions, email, phone calls, you know, day to day. Yeah, and it's just taking the temperature, you know, just no pun intended, but you know, checking in on folks to see how they're doing and what they're thinking.
We across the departments, I mean, we're in City Hall, we're the municipal government is operating, but public buildings are still closed to the public. And but one thing we hear across all the departments as we interact with people, either through Zoom or email or phone calls, is getting the word out, you know, around what's happening in the business community, what's happening in the government. And certainly the virtual town halls are a part of it, and the COVID situation reports that City Hall does and yours, but it's concerning to me. And we were trying to push out, you know, resources like your website and the email blast for the public as much as possible to get solid, vetted information to folks about what's happening, and maybe even more importantly, what's not happening. You know, and then I'm not saying it's not okay to know what's not happening, but to just have to sit with the unknown rather filling that void with misinformation has been a struggle.
Right. And I've been spending a lot of time also just helping coaching people through processes, you know, so helping to connect them to the SBA when they have a specific question and they're not able to find that answer. So I'm happy to do that for folks. I feel that's the mission right now, you know, and encouraging people to take those steps, do what you need to do. You know, if you need to sign up for a program, sign up for a program. That's why they're here.
Right.
That's what they're for. They're for you to do that.
So we've started, or I've, out of my office, I just put out the revised press releases yesterday. We have that 3-layer approach. And one is the reimbursement and grants task force, which is internal, and looking for an Attorney General's grant for the $30,000 was our first fruitful effort, our first success, but also tracking those. I mean, you talk about processes, figuring out what FEMA will pay for or not, and then how do we match with our local dollars to get the FEMA money. So we started that with our treasurer heading up that work group, and then we have the reopening committee that is co-chaired by Jenna. I'm getting better. Dobik from Bank ESB, and Emily Russo, who's our assistant personnel director, with a great group of community folks to really take that temperature, right? And say, what do you need from your city government? Or what do you know that's out there? Or what do you need to know about? And they're going to develop a survey that we can keep pushing off, something really short. And I say, I'm going to say this over and over again, because we need to get, once the survey is together in the next month, we need to get out there this link so everybody can answer it, so we know where we go for grants. And then the last one is around innovation and pivoting business models in town, Blueprints Easthampton, and Casey Corsello has accepted the coordinator position there. We're working with the National League of Cities and looking at how we can help businesses pivot or transition to the next, to the next version, iteration of their business or services that they offer. Yeah. But it seems that it goes very slow, and then all of a sudden goes very fast. And, you're trying to leverage and take advantage of what you can to keep strong, strong.
Absolutely.
Let's see, it's 10:24. Ryan, do we have questions that folks want to ask?
Yes, just now one coming in to the chat. Peter Marks would like to know, what are your expectations as the mayor of Easthampton for the next fiscal year, given the significant revenue declines for local municipalities in the state?
Yeah. So the expectation is I submitted, first I submitted a balanced budget back in May 6th. It's going through committee hearings now with public hearings coming up on the 3rd and the 17th. I would look out for a revised public calendar in the next day or two to see what will be considered by City Council. What I'm pushing for in that budget is a total increase of 1.098% and adding staff support to our public health department due to all of the industry protocols that folks will have to reopen under, and make sure that we're clear, especially around we have staffing for food inspections. And the other part was to add staffing to planning to go after those grants. And the idea with the grants, one, they take a lot of people power to apply for and administer, but those grants would be looking at projects like public infrastructure around sewer and water, where we have a huge deadline for state and federal permitting. Overall, I mean, saying that, I'm looking for grant money to check off the box on projects rather than staff that we need to get done as a city to prevent further deferred maintenance and take care of as many things we can internally or through a grant. That said, if the budget goes through the way that I've asked, and it's to City Council to approve the appropriation of those monies, in September, I have asked President Conniff on the City Council and Finance Committee Chair Rist to schedule another round of budget hearings, just like we're doing now. So every month, the City Council and the public will get a year-to-date statement of what the city has spent, what it's received, what it's waiting for reimbursement, where our grant money is. So the public and the City Council knows every single month how we're doing. In September or October, depending on when the state budget passes, I've asked for all new budget hearings to go over the budget and take a really strong, not just like, oh, this is how we're doing, really take a hard look at where we are. And I'm hoping by the fall, I'll have some idea of just how bad that state revenue picture looks like, just what the challenges are with local revenue, and make adjustments from there. Because around the time in the fall, we'll have our recap to start setting our tax rates. We also have the positive effects of the stabilization accounts that I put together that will help keep the taxes down a little bit. And I think we'll be able to make some really strong decisions for the second half of our fiscal year, which is, ends on June 30th. So those are my hopes, and that's my plan going forward. And it could vary, at any minute, depending on what we do or don't get from the state and federal government. So far, we have not had to deficit spend to meet our COVID expenses. And I feel very sure that the COVID expenses that are out there that we're listing and will ask for reimbursement, I strongly believe that they're valid expenses. I just hope that the federal government comes through with the 75% match. And then the 25% match that is local will use CARE Act money and not use general fund money in the city. That was long, but that's where we are.
All right. This next question is from the chat, and Louise Jacob would like to know, Mayor and Speaker briefly touched on masks. Can you both expand? This is a matter of much concern to many powerless residents. What can we expect from businesses? Any coordination? What is the city's position and any enforcement?
So Mo, I don't know if you want to start with expanding on just what you're hearing from businesses. It sounds like they have concerns around masks and face coverings as well, or any guidance maybe for the businesses would like, and then I can take the second part of the question or answer it as well.
Well, I think that the feedback that I did get was they were more concerned about the general public coming into their space and perhaps not having their masks on.
Yeah.
And that's really it. you know, and then, you know, and if someone doesn't have their mask on, then what? You know, nobody wants to be in a position where
Yeah.
the situation can get more than what it needs to be.
So on the city side of it, so face coverings, you know, masks, face coverings, so your nose and your mouth, right, being covered. When we, as we're seeing our crucial public health metrics go down, right, it is scientifically proven that the reason why that's going down is because folks are washing their hands, they're staying apart, they're staying home, and they're covering their nose and their mouth. Like, that is so directly correlated. We have to remember that. It will not be a vaccine that extinguishes alone this pandemic. It will be our behavior, each individual person's behavior, to stay apart, to stay home, to wash your hands, cover your nose, cover your mouth. Like, it's that easy. For how that translates into the public and public enforcement, we're doing a lot of education. We're coordinating with the police and with the fire, as well as public health departments and businesses. I think that you look at Big E's in town, that's a really great example. They're very clear about, if you're coming into their premise to shop, you're welcome to do so, but you got to have a mask on. And that starts as you're walking into the premise. Mo, did you want to jump in?
I did. I just wanted to add that we have been sharing with our members and the general public and businesses at large that the state has templates, and the advisory board had put together, as you know, because you are a member of that, templates and signage that you can download and you can put up, explaining what it is that's expected as people are starting to come into your space. So that's been, we have sent that out to our members and, you know, and our mailing list at large, and it's on our website also. So hopefully folks have seen that, and they will, I'm pretty sure they are. I mean, they're all very wanting to do things the right way.
And as far as the, you know, private businesses, right, like a Big E's, like Walgreens or whatnot, I would encourage, and we're working with businesses, put the expectations. I mean, it's like going to a concert, right? At the back of that ticket, it says that the owner of the venue has the right to ask you to leave. That this ticket is a license, not a right to come into a concert or to a restaurant or to a pharmacy. I can't stress that enough. So to use those templates and say the expectation is, if you don't have shirts on, if you don't have shoes on, if your face is not covered, you get no service. And as you're walking into that place, so for private businesses, I'm strongly encouraging them to download those templates and take that position right up front on the doors of the on the doors of your premise. Very you know, for the customers to know. On the other side of it, employees must wear masks. And that's where public health changes. So if we are going to permit a business to be in business, they have to have a safety plan. And if they're not going to wear a mask, then we need to see shielding. We need to see a variety of other things that ensures that they are not in direct contact. They're further than 6 feet from other employees and the public. That said, Mo, yes?
Well, I just wanted to also interject that the reopening advisory board has also put together a resource list of vendors. So where businesses can purchase their supplies from, that they're going to be required to have. So they have resources and things. If they can't find them readily, they can use this. So that's helpful.
Yeah, so I don't want to keep going on this. I see the chat, and I don't know if Louise had a follow-up question or clarification. I saw that, so I wanted to be respectful. Is Louise, are you getting the information you need for my answer, or am I missing the mark?
Oh,
Oh,
unmute
you're
yourself.
muted.
Here,
Hold on. Wait. Okay, hi. Oh,
We
hi,
there?
Louise.
go ahead.
Right. Somewhat missing the mark. The concern seems to be among some residents and customers, or would-be customers at the moment, that the stores have these very nice pictures signs outside,
Yeah.
all very sweet and, everything else.
Yeah.
But some people don't read them. Some stores do have staff, some don't. We're
Right.
asking, and when you get customers who are non-compliant,
Right.
or who are
Yeah.
conspicuously non-compliant, I'm not talking about somebody forgets. There have been a few instances.
Yep.
And I mean, this would impact, I think, Chamber because, people are deciding for that about going, but it's already a problem with some of the essential businesses. And that's where I'm asking. I mean, it's a hard thing, I realize. It's going to be harder.
Yeah.
Things like the small businesses on Cottage, well, they're talking differently. They seem more on top of it, but some of the necessities, it's a real problem.
So
And can the council, I don't know, help? Help them, maybe give them out, encourage them to have somebody at the front door, give masks in case just be a bit more active than just the signs. That's really the bottom of it.
So if anyone in the public has specific concerns, especially about an essential business and that situation, Louise, please give a call to our health department. Leave a voicemail, email at health@easthamptonma.gov, and we can get out there and do some education with that business, right? So say, look, this is a concern. The signs on the door are cute, but we mean it. Because they're licensed businesses. I love cute. I mean, I get it. And you walk in and say, this is what you need. This is actually how you need to walk the talk. And the health department is happy to do that. I mean, we're going to always take the position that a business needs education before we get to enforcement and fees. We don't want to have to fine. But if we need to, it is public health. I mean, these are people's lives, and they have to follow the guidelines.
I also would be concerned too about putting employees and businesses in a position where they're enforcers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really hard position for them to be in. So to be able to call the health department is a good step, or somewhere. I'm not sure.
The health department can enforce. I mean, the health department is not going to respond in the moment. Right. I mean, maybe they will. I shouldn't say that. I guess if they're in the area, they could. But also, I would encourage or have businesses remember, or even post that. I mean, I guess you can post too much information. If someone's not complying with the terms of service in your private business, and you don't want them there because they're not, like you're saying that, then you call the police. That's trespass. That's not an employee having to confront. It's like, you don't have a face covering on. You're not going to be served here. Please leave the premise. And when someone says no, that's trespass. And you call the police. I mean, and do I hope that happens a ton? I don't. I mean,
I don't know that I don't necessarily see that necessarily. I mean, yes, it could and will it more than likely here and there, but I don't see that as being a consistent big problem, because I think that the community as a whole demonstrates their respect for each other by complying with these things, because it's really more out of the concern for each other.
Right.
So,
I mean, wearing a mask protects the person that's wearing the mask, right? So you're wearing, it's a funny twist on rights, but for private businesses, it's really clear. You set the terms of service to the public, and the public decides not to respect that. It can be a trespass. I am concerned with Louise's comments around essential businesses, and that's something. I mean, we really want to know in my office and in the health department to do some education with that business ASAP to I mean, because an essential business is exactly that, an essential business. People might not have the choice to go to someone else.
All right. This next question from the chat comes from Peter Marks. Given the announcement yesterday from School Commissioner Riley, when can we have the superintendent be on call with you or a separate call to share thoughts on this?
Yeah, Superintendent Leclerc was on once, and as soon as the full guidance comes out about if there are summer offerings and what fall can begin to look like, she's ready to go. She's waiting for more guidance. I'm hoping, obviously, it's easy to say, oh, those are schools, and it's not, but as a city, we need to be prepared to support them. I would like to know, as well as the superintendent, exactly what will be expected in the fall, so we can apply for that grant money to get it done for our kids. But absolutely, Peter, we'll get the superintendent back on here. Absolutely.
All right. I don't see any more questions in the chat, but if there's anybody who would like to unmute themselves and ask their question, follow up from Peter.
Yeah.
Can you please have the Zoom meetings for all meetings be hyperlinked on the website? Some are and some are not. It would be much easier to simply click the hyperlinks to join a meeting than to have to write all the information down to first join. I
agree. And yes, we're trying to figure out, get consistency. A lot of the meetings run on their own, and we're trying to kind of lasso all of the meetings and get those links so you can go to one page and just click, or click to a separate page and it has everything listed. It's a great idea, and we trying to do it. I think especially without in-person meetings, it should be as convenient as possible so people can access the content. Yes. Thank you, Peter.
All right.
Other
Anybody else? Oh, sorry, Mayor.
No, I was going to say anything else. I just want to go through the. Okay. So I have a couple of just the questions that I've gotten over the last week, and if they spark questions, clarifications, please let us know in the chat. So I had a couple of concerns from parents about preschool programming at Maple Street School and it not being full-time next year. That started, and one, I would encourage, I guess there was some chat on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, so I'm not sure exactly, but thank goodness one parent reached out and I connected them with Superintendent Leclerc around the preschool program and enrollment that affected the decision of how those services will be structured next year. And it had to do with enrollment. Of course, every department's budget is tight, but I do want to be clear that the number of children enrolling in that service for next year has gone down a lot. And the school, the principal, Judy Averill, as well as the student service director, Sarah Mochek, worked with the superintendent to craft the most services for the kids that had enrolled. So that was one question. I got it, and I wanted to get it out there. Also, we had, I lost my, building inspections. So building inspections building permits. Our building inspector, Joe Meswar, is working through the backlog for when permits were being held. So I know folks want to get things going, and there are a lot of pools and fences and shed permits right now. And he's working through those and working through the bigger projects in the city. So he's almost caught up. And I would just ask people to have patience. If you are doing a home improvement project, either through a contractor or yourself, remember there is a self-certification attestation page that is where you fill out your permit form. that you will take the proper safety procedures, and you have to sign off on that. So please make sure when you submit a building permit that you also have that form, so we can process as soon as possible. For bigger projects, like what you see at 1 Ferry Street or on Route 10, the River Valley Co-op that's starting to be built and road work, there are longer safety plans that must be put together by the contractors just from the size and the complex nature of those projects that need to be submitted as well. So if anybody had questions about those safety provisions, you can go to the building inspector's webpage and you can take a look at those, and you can also take a look at the self-attestation form that you need to submit with your building permit. Okay, so part of the building permit process is, of course, your fee, your application, but also that checklist that you will be safe with the work having done on your home or on your business. So I wanted to make sure you get that out. If folks are having difficulty getting through to people or departments in City Hall, they can always email mayor@easthamptonma.gov or call my office directly at 413-529-1470, and we will track the person down. People are slowly starting to come back into the city offices to work. The health agent with our buildings operation team has been building out schedules for each department so folks can get into their office, prepare for year end, but also have direct access to all the materials they need. Not everything is electric. So you'll see more folks coming in to City Hall. City Hall itself and all public buildings remain still closed to members of the public. So if you have business that needs to be done face-to-face with a city employee, or you need to set up a phone call, please contact that department directly, and we can make arrangements for that conversation or service to be provided. Right now, I plan to keep city buildings closed to the public through June with a reassessment the last week of June about next steps forward and public. Needless to say, public buildings are very high touch. And to keep them clean all the time, every time somebody comes in and out, is near impossible, not to mention the issues with public spaces such as kitchens, counters, and bathrooms. My focus or my thought behind this is I need to keep our public employees safe and as healthy as possible, and keeping the public out of those buildings for now is important. We really don't want to get anybody sick in City Hall or first responders, water, sewer, schools, as we're rebuilding to reopen. We need our team as healthy as it possibly can be, and no city employee wants to be the cause of an infection to a member of the public. The curve is flattening because we are staying home and we're self-isolating and we're washing our hands and we're covering our nose and our mouth. I mean, the data shows that, and that is true no matter if you work in City Hall or you're walking to the pond. There are all chances that you may be interacting with a member of the public that you're not expecting. So to always cover up, make it a part of your wardrobe. It's really important. Folks will be wearing masks in City Hall. So as they move about the building to get their job done, they will be masked and lower transmission rates within the building. Any comments or closing remarks you would like to make, Mo?
No, just, let's do what we all need to do so that we can get this done the right way, so that we don't have to re-experience these extremes again in 2020 or ever.
Ever, right? No, I agree. The reopening advisory board on the state level, we meet today. I would encourage, if folks want to know what's going on or what those industry specific protocols look like, the state is adding new ones all the time and into phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4. So you can know what to expect. There's still opportunity to provide comment on those protocols. If you have a question about those protocols, there are some options to get answers right from the state. They're happy to answer. They have a hotline set up. The Division of Labor Standards has email and a phone. So, call and see, give good consideration of what we're doing on the city level. I'd love to hear your feedback. I know local businesses rely on Mo and vice versa, and I encourage people to reach out as well. Yes, Mo?
Okay, I just wanted to add, I would love it if folks would like to receive our information that we've been putting out. Please go to the website. It's easthamptonchamber.org, and you can sign up for that newsletter to be on that mailing list. And I would love to be able to share that with you. And if you've got questions about anything regarding the business community or businesses, or you're a business owner, I may not have that answer for you right off the bat, but I will find it for you. Or help you, point you in a direction where you can get that.
Great. Thank you so much, Mo.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I've got 2 big follow-ups. One, to round up all the Zoom links for the meetings and get them into one place on the website. And 2, schedule a town hall that features Superintendent LeClaire again, as she gets more clarity of what happens next for schools this summer and also the fall. So stay tuned for both. And again, if there are any comments or questions from this town hall or any other, please email me at mayor@easthamptonma.gov or give me a call, 413-529-1440. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And I just saw a clap. Oh, that's great. I always wondered what those were for in Zoom. Excellent. Thanks, Erica. And a thumb up. Wow.
Nice.
I learned something new. Oh, another one. That's great. I'm going to have to practice so I can use those next time. But thank you, everybody, and Louise, for tuning in. Spread the word about these. If there's somebody else you want to see on this town hall or get a panel, I'm thinking of doing some with the city councilors or department heads. Let me know. Give me ideas. This hour, it's a town hall. It's your town hall. So I want to make sure you hear what you want to hear, and I'll get you answers. Please stay home if you can. If you go out, cover your nose, cover your mouth, wash your hands, stay apart. Have a great week.
Thank you, Mayor.
Bye.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you, everybody who
Thanks,
is here
Mo.
participating and attending. I want to quickly remind everybody that this meeting will be rebroadcast on our channel and on our YouTube page, just like every virtual town hall that we've had since this began. So thank you very much, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
Bye.